you have any thoughts on the Super Bowl? Kaya said she's probably not going to watch. You're going to watch a lot of LSU guys in the game.
Yeah.
People you know.
I'm kind of partial to Brady and Devin White. I kind of think I want to see that happen. Not for any other reason.
I think they might pull it off. I think they might do it.
Yeah, I just like the old guy.
We had a video conference with Devin earlier today. I was on through the Super Bowl. It's all virtual media day stuff. He said, Darrell Williams and Tyrann Mathieu and all those guys, they've got a Super Bowl. Clyde won a national title. He said it's his turn to get a ring. So he said people should root for him.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I'm kind of with him.
How did the week? How'd y'all if you were able to? How were y'all able to use the early week off to your advantage? Maybe get some people a little healthier. Haley just said she looked like you'll maybe able to add the element that she needed on her floor routine. That might not have been there last week, that sort of thing.
I think we were able to spread some things out last week, and on a typical week between competitions, we try to get 3 training days in, and last week we were able to get 5 and be able to spread out the workload a little bit, which kind of served a dual purpose. We got, with Haley in particular, we got to focus on that pass that we needed to work and kind of expedite that process a little bit that we probably wouldn't have been able to do if we'd have been competing last weekend. There just wouldn't have been a lot of time. We would have had to split time between that and the existing routine. So I think that was good. I think, Reagan getting a little bit of downtime with, her back and her hip. She's got a little hip flexor thing. And as always, giving Kaya, pacing Kaya in a way that, keeps things under control, at least with that Achilles. That's our goal. And so I think it was a very productive week. I think it was we'll see how we feel after we go 5 in a row if we don't have any other interruptions. But, in some ways, anytime something like this happens, you try to find the silver lining. And I think for us, last week was good. We were able to just kind of slow things down a little bit and kind of focus in on some of the errors we were making. And hopefully we can ramp that back up starting today and be ready to execute on Friday night. I can't hear you, Scott.
Sorry, Haley seemed rather nonchalant about this element she needs to add to the middle routine. Are you, as a coach, a little more, I want to see it work in practice or pull the trigger, or you're like, she's pretty high class gymnast?
Yeah, I'm learning with her that if she says she's good to go, she usually is. She's pretty mature about what she says and what kind of expectations she sets for herself. I think it's fine. We've done it to the music last week. We trained it a lot separate, got it out on the spring floor in the middle of the week. We haven't done it in a full routine yet. That'll be today. Will be the first time we see it like that. But she seemed to make the adjustment pretty quickly. I'd never say never, but she's earned my trust. If she says she's good, I think she's good.
I was just curious about the SEC having the foresight to set aside these 2 weekends and clearly it being able to pay off here right away for you guys. Is that something that you talked to the team about early? Is that kind of something you plan for?
Well, I think when we as a conference, when we decided to not to go conference only, and we pulled the trigger before some other conferences, mainly because there was not a lot of consensus on what protocols were going to look like, et cetera. And it became really obvious that we needed to protect the experience of our student athletes for this year. We as coaches, we decided that we would try to do a conference-only schedule. It started with just the normal meets, and then we figured out we could get 4 home and 4 away if everybody had one team they went against twice. And then the thought was, do we start a little bit later, or do we start at our normal weekend and then build these bye weekends in, and it became, it's, as we talked through it, it looked really simple to have that bye weekend in the middle and one at the end, and because if you're looking at what had happened, we got to see what happened with some of the fall sports and the interruptions that they experienced all over the country, and knowing that, we anticipated there would be interruptions in our sport. I think we may be the first high-profile, like SEC program that had an interruption like that. But there are other schools, and even within our conference, who have had cases. It didn't necessarily result in them having to postpone a meet, but they had situations where they had to leave a segment of their team at home. So it's happening more than most people realize. Ours just happened to get 14 or so of our kids, but I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we had the forethought to do it, and I think the conference has done, in general, throughout this entire affair, has done an amazing job of being very thoughtful in our processes, whether it's our sport or any other. I think the SEC should be commended on the judicious response that it's had to all these things.
Do y'all have another hurdle or checkpoint to go through before you definitely feel like you're 100% for this week? Don't y'all have testing?
Yeah, well,
early in the week?
we have our normal weekly testing that we do tomorrow, and we should have everything back by Wednesday. But knock on wood, we'll be ready to roll.
How many events can you tell at this point you hope to have from Kaya since you had a week off, like you said, last little rest?
I think if everything goes as planned, she'll do 3 this week. If everything goes the way it looks at the moment, and that's always subject to change, but I think vault, bars, and beam would be the plan for this week, and then if we manage that well, then try to add floor back next week.
Not to take away from the Auburn meet, but I mean, next week is Florida, so that's, are you thinking in those terms at all, or are you trying not to look far ahead?
Well,
you have to plan.
I think you always think strategically about who's going to be on the floor with you, but we're competing against Florida this Friday night too, and we competed against them the first 3 meets, and that's just the way it works for us. And certainly we want to get the win no matter who we're against on the floor in this season, because everything matters, and towards one of our goals, which is trying to win the regular season. But no, I'm not really thinking about that per se, other than just trying to bring her back methodically rather than just get her back in on everything. And we've got other kids that can go, and that's the beauty. It's only depth if you use it, and so we've got the ability to do that. We think we do anyway. We'll find out more today and Wednesday, but I think we've got the ability to put people in there that can score at or near what Kaya is going to score. So getting those kids experience is important.
And who might be in contention for that spot?
There's 3 or 4 of them. Certainly Elena Arenas has been out there and did exhibition for us. Sierra Ballard, Olivia Gunter, Cameron Ryan has really turned it up on floor tremendously in the last several weeks. She's just growing in confidence by leaps and bounds. Chase Brock is ready to do floor. We've just been real slow to move her to the hard surface because of wanting to preserve. She's got some long-term ankle tenderness and things that so if we needed to move her over, we could do that pretty quickly. She's ready to go. But we keep her on the rod floor, which is a softer surface for her most of the time.
You mentioned Cameron a couple of times, and we've seen a little of her, but is she someone who's ready to kind of blossom a little bit and get some more playing time, for lack of a better word?
Well, we're seeing her do that. We're seeing tremendous growth from her in practice. but you got to be careful when you get a kid that's really prospering in the gym. You don't want to react too quickly and put them in an environment and have them have a setback. So, I mean, she's growing in her confidence more and more as we go, and she's certainly going to get her opportunities as we go. You saw her finally get that vault out there in exhibition in our last meet. My guess is that she's in the lineup for this one. But in a situation like that, you don't want to put too much on their plate too fast because that can backfire. So I've got a lot of confidence in her. She's got an amazing spirit and drive. She's actually pretty stubborn in a lot of ways, but I think over time she's gonna see more and more action. So yes, but I'm not in a hurry to do that right now.
I'm good. Thanks, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jay.
All right.